leave the agency in 2 weeks. A regional administrator overseeing several disaster-prone states in the Gulf is also stepping down. CBS News Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Sganga joins us live right now. And Nicole, what do we know so far about these departures?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is really concerning. Jeremy Goldberg was the head of the National Response Coordination Center, and our audiences might know that room because we often see images of it when the president visits FEMA headquarters during a major disaster. But essentially, it is the nerve center for FEMA during major disasters. It coordinates federal resources across states and localities, and, everything from sending food, water, medical supplies to disaster zones to requesting support from the Pentagon after an earthquake, a wildfire, or a hurricane. Goldberg was also in charge of deploying FEMA's 28 urban search and rescue teams. Current FEMA officials tell CBS News that, his absence will be a significant loss. He is essentially irreplaceable. And this, of course, comes less than 2 weeks into hurricane season and amid a much broader leadership shakeup at the National Disaster Agency.
And so, Nicole, I suppose a very important question here is what could the impact of these departures have on FEMA, especially as we're talking about hurricane season, which has been, almost 2 weeks now into it?
Yeah, absolutely. Hurricane season is long, too, right? I mean, we don't end this until November 30th. So there is a lot of concern with all of the unexpected changes here. I mean, sources tell CBS News that some of the most experienced officials at FEMA are on their way out now. And this is part of a very concerning brain drain that is setting the agency up for failure and leaves the U.S. in a really tough spot during hurricane season. I spoke with the former FEMA administrator, Craig Fugate, just a couple of weeks ago, and he said the number one asset at FEMA is experience. Also on his way out, along with Jeremy Greenberg, is Tony Robinson, who oversees FEMA's Region 6, several disaster-prone states like Louisiana and Texas. He was a 37-year veteran of FEMA and led the agency's response and recovery efforts for disasters like Hurricanes Harvey, Isaac, Ike, and Gustav. Now, President Trump said earlier this week that he wants to essentially wean states off of FEMA assistance, especially after this hurricane season. But that puts states in a really tough spot in terms of knowing what to expect this hurricane season, how much they're going to have to jump in on response and life-saving efforts, and then how much they'll be charged or reimbursed after these major disasters hit if the federal government decides that they're not going to cost share in the way that they used to.
Yeah, definitely still a lot of uncertainty on that one. Nicole, I want to switch gears here and ask you about Union Leader David Huerta and Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, who are both facing felony charges for blocking the path of federal agents. What do we know about the cases against them?
Yeah, these are two different cases, right? So a federal grand jury indicted Representative Monica McIver for allegedly interfering with law enforcement outside of Delaney Hall. That's an ICE detention facility in Newark, New Jersey last month. And it's sort of an unusual case. No one was injured during this interaction, but it reflects the Justice Department's pledge to prosecute officials it feels is getting in the way of President Trump and this administration's widespread immigration enforcement efforts. And Alina Habba, who's the interim U.S. attorney for New Jersey, filed that criminal complaint last month, laying out the government's allegations against McIver, which, stem from this clash she and other elected officials had with law enforcement during what they called an oversight visit of that detention facility. As for David Huerta, he's the president of the California Division of Service Employees International Union. He was indicted on one felony charge of conspiracy to impede an officer after he was arrested just this past Friday during protests over ICE targeted operations in Los Angeles. And according to a Homeland Security investigation officer's sworn affidavit, he sat down in front of a vehicle gate to a staging ground for ICE operations. Law enforcement attempted to move him several times. He had claimed that it was a public sidewalk and said, "You can't arrest all of us." He was then arrested. Now, he was released Monday afternoon on a $50,000 bond, and his arraignment is scheduled for July 7th.
We'll see how all those cases play out. Nicole Sganga, thank you so much for your insight.
I just made a $39 personalized storybook using AI in under 2 minutes. Let me show you how you can too.